How does it feel?
It feels great. I work hard for this shit, so I'm not surprised, motherfucker.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Courtside Soundoff podcast today. I'm Josh Evanoff. He's Angel Ortega. A lot of stuff to talk about. UFC Vegas 2 recap. UFC Vegas 3 happening this Saturday night. BKFC's returning next month. And the potential fallout of an NBA lockout with many players not wanting to play. Before we get into that, I'm going to talk about Fight Plus. Fight Plus provides a special selection of premium events for boxing, MMA, pro wrestling, and other combat sports. While tribute events from over 25 promotions 30 days after airing. Fight Plus includes organizations such as Brave FC, Unified MMA, UC MMA, CZW, BKB, FSW, PCB, Boxing, Kunlun, and much, much more. Available for your viewing pleasure. Cancel at any time. If you guys want to get a 7-day free trial of Fight Plus, you can go through the links that are available on our Podbean, YouTube, or website. So thank you guys for Fight Plus over there. So as always, for supporting this podcast, it means a lot. Last Saturday night, proclaimed as the worst UFC event ever, was actually a pretty dope-ass card. In the main event, Cynthia Calvillo defeating Jessica Eye via unanimous decision. Jessica Eye started off pretty well. I actually thought her boxing looked really, really crisp in the first round, and she looked huge. It's worth noting she missed weight by 0.25. By a quarter of a pound. Apparently, according to Cynthia Calvillo, she actually held the towel, and that she was like 4 pounds over. So that's a pretty big thing there, and you could see that it's very much a strawweight versus a bantamweight in there. Regardless, though, after round one, it was all Cynthia Calvillo. Got the fight down to the mat, nearly finished it multiple times with submission attempts, and overall, she got the win and is now ranked number 2 in the women's flyweight division. Angel, were you impressed at all by Calvillo's performance? I mean, we knew going in she was going to be the much smaller fighter, getting the fight on super short notice, but her grappling looked damn impressive.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, everything you said was absolutely true. I'm a little disappointed because, like you said, in that first round, Jessica looked kind of crisp in her boxing. I thought she was kind of catching her little stride there. I thought she looked really good. I thought that meant that was going to carry on into the later rounds. Not the case. Really disappointed for me personally. She's really up and down right now. Really sucks because I think she's a good personality for the sport, and I like her in the UFC. Hopefully this doesn't affect something going forward, and maybe she can string a couple things together, but it's not looking super great. But yeah, outside of that first round for her, I was really disappointed. Like after that, I got a little disinterested. I can't deny it, and it really made for not that fun of a fight, but at least Cynthia made up for the fight for looking good, you know?
Yeah. You did bring up how she's good for the sport, and I kind of agree because a lot of people seem to not realize what Jessica Eye's role is. Jessica Eye is a heel. She's somebody that you're supposed, like generally speaking, you disliking her helps her a lot in the long run. But you said, we'll see where she goes from here. Where do you think she goes from here? 'Cause she's missed weight twice in a row, both very badly. And she's lost 2 of her last 3 fights. She at bantamweight, she was really, really bad. I mean, there's no other way to put it. She was like 1-5 in the UFC, 1-6 at bantamweight. Went down to flyweight, started having success, and now she can't make flyweight, and she's missed weight twice in a row, very badly. And she lost 2 of her last 3. So where do you think she goes from here?
I don't know. Her inconsistency is worrying. I think she really needs to take a step back. And look, I'll give this to her with the whole COVID thing going on. Maybe that affected her weight cut and everything. But, maybe she needs to take a little bit of time, not necessarily completely away from the sport, but, really, really refocus, really think about what she's doing within the sport and think, what am I doing wrong? What am I, am I not going to make weight here? Do I feel more comfortable here? Do I look better here? I think she personally needs to take that time with her team and be like, hey, what is wrong? This has happened. These couple fights. I was successful here. What can we do here? Let's rebuttal and figure something out, because clearly something's wrong. Because she's not making weight, she's not being successful in her fights. I'm sure those two, combine and work with each other. Like she got absolutely slept by by Shevchenko. I mean, that was not. I mean, it was a worrying knockout. I mean, the crowd clapped when she got up. I mean, something needs to be done here because she can't be going in there and just be taking this damage for no reason if she's not gonna find some sort of success, because she's competing at the highest level in the UFC and it's not showing. And I wouldn't be surprised if Dana would maybe even consider cutting her. I'll be completely honest.
Dana really hates people missing weight.
He was pissed off about that.
Yeah. He's always been somebody who's super pissed off if you don't make weight. Like, he cut Rumble Johnson like so many years ago whenever Rumble was really like a top 10, top 5 fighter, but he couldn't make weight. So he cut him, There's been other examples over the years. He just doesn't like when people don't make weight. And then Jessica Ai she's not only not making weight, she's getting embarrassed. She's missing weight. She's getting embarrassed. Like she won her last fight before this, but I believe that was a split decision. And she missed weight by 5 pounds. Like, that's terrible. And ultimately she doesn't draw much. But then again, she did take this fight on short notice, so we have to give her some credit there. COVID situation, we're seeing more and more people miss weight. We saw 4 weight misses on this card overall. Well, I guess one of those is a catch weight, so never mind. So 3. Zarak Abadashev, Carl Roberson, and Jessica Ai all missed weight for this card. But yeah, overall, a good win by Cynthia Calvillo. She's kind of, she elevated herself to that position. I've long thought she's somebody that if she could put her striking together, I think that she can be one of the greatest people either at strawweight or flyweight, because her grappling is so damn good. She has great cardio, and remember, she took this fight on 2 weeks' notice, and she went the full 5 rounds looking really damn good not on the feet, but never getting tired. And I thought Jessica Ai really tired out after the second round. That's how I saw it. But yeah, to kind of go to the co-main event, Marvin Vettori, Carl Robeson, a lot of hype behind this one. These two guys are kind of guys that are on the border of middleweight stardom, so to speak. Maybe Marvin Vettori more than Carl Robeson, but Carl Robeson still won 2 fights in a row. Before that, I believe he lost to Glover Teixeira. He's had some success fighting a light heavyweight as well. Overall, he's looked damn good as of late, and taking on Marvin Vettori, who some call him Izzy's kryptonite.
I still love that nickname. I feel like we should keep that.
Yeah, no, that's how we're only going to refer him. And hey, he's in the rankings now, so maybe one day we'll get a rematch down the line.
He asked for it.
He did.
He's like, hopefully, I can get back into that, title contention shot, and hopefully get that rematch against Izzy, which I think would be awesome. I'd love to see that. I think it'd be great for Izzy to rematch the opponent who gave him some trouble. Yeah.
I mean, he's the only one to take a scorecard off of Izzy. I mean, he's the only one. Kelvin Gastelum couldn't. I mean, Kelvin gave him some problems, but he couldn't take a scorecard off him. And I guess we could talk about that in a minute. But back to Marvin Vettori real quickly. Heading into this one, he was looking damn good. And he got the win, and it was pretty fucking impressive. I mean, Carl Roberson had no answer for his grappling. I remember starting out, Roberson looked pretty sharp on the feet. He looked quick, and he landed two bomb right hands. You could tell that Vettori has an iron chin. He's never been knocked out. He's never even been rocked, it looks like. But he ate 2 big rights, and he's like, hell nah, man. So he took Roberson down. He nearly got the guillotine choke, and Roberson did one of the coolest things I've ever seen. He jumped off the cage to get out of the guillotine. But then Vettori stayed on him. He got the takedown. He got the back. He started landing some huge ground and pound. Moved into the choke. Got the rear naked choke. How impressed were you by Marvin Vettori? This is his 3rd win in a row. Before that, he lost to Izzy in a split decision. But before that, he even got a draw against Omari Akhmedov, who's a really dark horse in the division in his own right. I mean, he's looked damn good in his last 3 fights. And Marvin Vettori getting the first round submission. How impressed were you?
I mean, dude, like you said, beautiful ground and pound. I managed to get the submission in there. I was impressed. I did not think the fight would be done within the first round. I'll be 100% honest. I thought we were in for the 3-round fight. They going into that, they talked about all the aspects about the guys, their specialties, and I was like, something. I was like, maybe Marvin will struggle for that takedown. It won't happen. They'll have to tone up a lot on the feet, maybe a lot of clinch. Not the case whatsoever. I mean, yeah, sure, those things happen, but they didn't last for as long as I thought. It was devastating. It was impressive. I liked it. I hope to see Marvin again. Hopefully, I'm guessing he'll have a decently fast turnaround, especially with all this going on. and hopefully he fights a ranked opponent here soon. I'm sure he will. Because man, that middleweight class is stacked right now. Probably might be the most stacked division in UFC right now.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's close. I mean, yeah, I guess maybe lightweight.
Yeah, lightweight. I mean, there's some featherweight. I mean, there's a couple.
Welterweight too. God damn, the UFC's fun right now.
The UFC's fun right now. No, you're right. There's just fights to be made. There's just names, and maybe it's because myself, I'm more into the sport now than I've ever been. Because maybe if I would have stayed watching, because I'm for sure still a casual. There's no denying that. But I'm not like a heavy casual. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, you're not like watches once a year casual.
Yeah. So now that I'm here, I'm kind of like, oh man, this person can match up with this person. I can see this. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff right now in the UFC that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, middleweight's just it's like just an absolute realm of killers, bro. Like honestly, I mean, just Izzy, Kelvin, Darren Till, Robert Whitaker. You got old vets on the outside looking in, like Rockhold, Weidman, Jacare. You got kind of the younger breed, Omari Akhmedov, Marvin Vettori. You got so many Edmund Shabazian is another amazing name who's rising through the ranks. Derek Brunson still hanging around. Middleweight's awesome. It really is, and I'm glad to see Vettori in that mix. Honestly, Chris Weidman's fight just got booked. He's going to be facing Omari Akhmedov. I think in August or July. I don't really remember. Later July, I think. I would have liked to see Vettori fight Weidman, but sadly that's not going to happen. So, but anyways, yeah, awesome win by Vettori. Was there anything else on the undercard that you want to talk about? Because there's a lot of stuff I thought that was awesome on this undercard.
I mean, the way the card opened. I mean, I did not expect that. Tyson Nam, my goodness, we joked about Adeshev and his background. You can tell the guy's a skilled striker, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe bantamweight isn't the move for him because of his height. I mean, that wasn't the only factor. But I mean, 32 seconds, man. I was like, yeah. I'm like, this man fought in what is it called? Oh man, I'm blanking right now. Where did he fight? He fought in Glory, former champion. He looked pretty good. I mean, the technical striking was there, but Tyson caught him with the hands, and it was
never throw a naked leg kick, bro.
Yeah, it was insane. I did not expect that. It was a devastating knockout. Sucks for Adeshev for his UFC debut, but man, that was the second card into the fight. And before that, Christian Aguilar, 1 minute into the round, slept. Like, this is insane, man. Like the card opened up insanely well. They didn't close out as much as I would have liked, but the beginning of the card was great in my opinion.
Yeah, the beginning of the card, I think it was the quickest start in UFC history. 3 fights, all ending via knockout in under a minute. I know for a fact that's a record. I don't know if that's the quickest ever, but I know for a fact that's never happened before. That's absolutely insane. Julia Avila was one of the knockouts. You mentioned the other two. Julia Avila knocking out Gina Mazzani in under 22 seconds? That is insane. The Raging Panda, she's destined for great things in that bantamweight division. I'm super high on her. You mentioned the start of the card. I want to talk about the main card. Maria Agapova. I told everybody, man. I told anybody who will listen to me that this girl has potential superstardom in the UFC. Fighting at flyweight, she has the length, she has the look, and she took all of 2 minutes to beat the shit out of Hannah Cifers. Hannah Cifers has been around in the game for a while now. She fought Mackenzie Dern not that long ago, and she was having some success with Mackenzie Dern too. She was kind of out-muscling her. Maria Agapova said, fuck that, I'm just going to beat the hell out of you. And her striking looked crisp. Her grappling looked great. And whenever she hurts you, it's all over, man. She just swarms. Her only loss was to Tracy Cortez on the Contender Series. Now she's 9-1. She's won 3 in a row. And I don't know if she's ranked right now, but she should be, bro. If Paige Van Zandt can be ranked to flyweight, my girl Maria Agapova can be ranked. Yeah, she's still only 23. She's training out of American Top Team. Amazing UFC debut. I saw a ton of people talking about it. Another quick one to talk about, Andre Fili, Charles Jourdain. That one was a war. Split decision for Andre Fili. I'm happy he got the win. He's looked good, man. He's looked really, really good as of late. It's taken him a long time to be in the UFC, for a better part of a decade. But he's finally putting it together. Like, I think his last 6 fights, he's won 4 of them, and the 2 that he lost were very questionable split decisions to Sadiq Youssef and Michael Johnson. So shout out Andre Fili. Overall, though, this card is pretty dope. I'm not even going to lie. A lot of low expectations heading in. But a card that has high expectations heading in is this one Saturday night. Curtis Blades, Alexander Volkov, 2 top 10 heavyweights facing off in the main event. The co-main event is arguably just as good. Josh Emmett, Shane Burgos, some of the greatest in that featherweight division. I'll throw it straight up to you. Heavyweight, main event, Curtis Blades, Alexander Volkov. Who do you got?
Like always, another tough pick. Something, I'm going to stay with my pick that I've been having throughout since this fight was announced. I'm staying with Alexander Volkov. I believe Alexander Volkov can believe. Now, Chris Blades is a killer. I think his 2 losses are both in Ghana, if I remember right.
Yes.
I could be absolutely wrong. This is the only 2 losses. He's been knocked. He's the guy who probably should be UFC champion right now, or has the best opportunity to be UFC champion right now in the heavyweight division. I know I'm taking a very. I think this is a risk picking Volkov. Look, Volkov 6'6", towers over most guys. Blades is 6'3", only 3 inches. But man, Volkov's a long guy. He's a seasoned guy. I know if he keeps that distance, manages Blades, and doesn't get caught out, maybe I think that's gonna be the whole game for Volkov, in my opinion. Maintain your distance, manage your distance, just outpoint him. If he can find that knockout, great. TKO, whatever. I mean, submission, I doubt that's gonna happen. But if it does, I mean, let it be. Maybe you could see some ground and pound potentially. I don't know. But I think Volkov has everything on the table here. I mean, Volkov was 1 away from being in the title shot. If he doesn't lose that Derek Lewis fight late and gets clipped, he probably, fights DC, gets his title shot. Who knows what happens against DC? I mean, that'd probably be a very hard fight for DC. I mean, DC is, listed at whatever height, but doesn't seem like that height's really what he is. And
he's 5'8", let's be real. He's 5'7" and a quarter.
He's something. And I mean, Volkov would have given a hell of a fight. I would have loved to see DC deal with the super long, Volkov, ex-champion. Was it Bellator champion, right?
Yes.
Yeah, ex-Bellator champion. And, he has all the makings to be up there. He like I said, he's up there for that title shot. He's only 1 loss out, came back, beat Greg Hardy, which, I mean, isn't the greatest win of him, but it was a good tune-up for him. We saw, Volkov. We saw that Volkov, he tore up that leg of Greg Hardy, and Greg Hardy saw that and dealt with that. I think we'll see that again here with Blades. I feel like he'll give Blades a very similar fight that he did to Greg Hardy. He'll just have a lot more difficulties with Blades, because Blades is a lot more, talented at this point in his career than Greg Hardy probably.
Yeah, I'm someone who's kind of been on the similar wavelength to you when it comes to Volkov. I'm a big believer in Volkov, man. I think his striking at the heavyweight division, I don't think there's anybody better. Stipe's got some good boxing. DC's got some good clinch work and really, really good dirty boxing. And, there's some outliers in there that have really good striking as well. But I think pure striking-wise, the dude's the best in the division. His kicks are phenomenal. Doesn't matter if he's going high or if he's going low. He's really great with managing the distance. And he's got that long reach. He's 81-inch reach, longer than John Jones. He's 6'7". He's phenomenal. And in the UFC, beat Timothy Johnson, Roy Nelson, Stephen Struth, Fabricio Verdum, Greg Hardy. He's got all the wins. The only loss he has is the Derek Lewis one, where he was winning 4 minutes and 45 seconds of that fight. So it's tough, but I'm still going to go with Curtis Blades. For me, the only issue with Alexander Volkov that I've ever seen is his wrestling. We saw Vitaly Minikov have some success with his wrestling. We saw Czech Congo have some success with his wrestling. Even though I believe that Volkov beat Czech Congo. Actually, no, he did not. He lost to Czech Congo in Kansas, Bellator 139. And he also lost to Tony Johnson, who had issues with the wrestling. And obviously, we haven't seen him go up against a wrestler in a long time. I think the last time we saw anybody actually try to use wrestling against Volkov was Fabricio Verdum. And Fabricio was also having success with his wrestling. And Curtis Blades is the greatest wrestler in that division. He has heavy hands. He's only getting better on the feet. He's also a tall guy, 6'4", 80-inch reach. I'm not going to say he's going to be better than Volkov on the feet, but I think he could probably compete with him. I'm gonna take Blades here, man. Curtis Blades. I'm pretty sure he's the favorite. I think he's gonna win, and I think sadly nothing could come from it. It really sucks. I feel so bad for Curtis Blades, man. It doesn't matter how many times he wins, because if Ngannou gets that belt, he's never gonna get a title shot again. And even then, he's still behind Ngannou because Ngannou beat him twice. So it really sucks for Curtis Blades. But if Volkov gets to win, then shit gets really interesting, my friends.
That's a good fight for Ngannou.
I think that's a really good dude. I think it's a good fight for both guys. I think Volkov and Ngannou is in a phenomenal fight.
It's probably like the heaviest hitting dude versus probably one of the most technical guys in that division. Wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, for sure.
If not, you can argue DC maybe, right? A little bit more technical to Volkov just because of the way he fights.
I think the way he strings it together is probably better than Volkov. Like, if we're talking the wrestling and the striking at distance and closing the gap, I'd say he might be better at kind of, how can I say this, kind of chaining stuff together. But I think, like, stylistically wise and just pure striking, I'd take Volkov.
I think this will give us a great idea where Volkov's at now, though, after that Derek Lewis loss, though.
Yeah.
At least I'm really curious to see, because if he wins this and he looks great, I'm like, oh boy, this just the heavyweight. We've been talking about the heavyweight division and how open it is, and not open, but like a lot of guys who have a fighting chance, you know, up there.
Yeah.
And can make just good fights, you know, because at the end of the day, that's all we want. So, I mean, I hope we have a good performance. I mean, that's all I hope for. Hopefully everybody makes weight. No one gets COVID.
The only one who missed weight was Frank Camacho, which we should talk about. He missed weight earlier today.
God damn it.
Which, Frank Camacho, I love that man. It doesn't matter if he missed weight. It's still going to be an awesome fight.
Man, okay.
Anyways. Yeah, man, that's an awesome main event. I'd love to see Volkov versus Ngannou down the line, win, lose, or draw. I think Blades wins, though. I'm going to take Blades via either a late stoppage, because his ground and pound is ruthless. The co-main event, in my opinion, is high level of a fight you're going to see. Josh Emmett, Shane Burgos. These are two, in my opinion, the featherweight division has some amazing pure boxers. Like, I know we've talked about this with Calvin Kattar, Dan Ige, but Josh Emmett and specifically Shane Burgos are two guys that have phenomenal boxing. Shane Burgos, his fight against Calvin Kattar is his only UFC loss, and he looked phenomenal on the feet. That was the fight of the night in a really, really great card, UFC 220. They just went at it, and their boxing was just phenomenal in that one. Calvin Kattar ended up getting the TKO win in the third round, but Burgos looked great in his own right, and his last time out, since that loss, he's won 3 in a row, beat Kurt Holloway via submission, Cub Swanson via decision, and Makwan Amirkhani. And that win over Amirkhani, some of the most brutal body work I've ever seen in a UFC fight. He ripped the body and he beat the shit out of Makwan Amirkhani, who went to SBG, and he looked really, really great in that first round. But guess what? He weathered the storm. He came back and he beat the fuck out of him in the third round and finished him with body strikes. Josh Emmett, on the other hand, we know all about this dude's power. It's ridiculous. He has, as the kids say, he has fuck you power. He has it. All right. Since coming to the UFC, he's kind of had a mixed run until he beat Ricardo Lamas, and then whenever he beat Ricardo Lamas, he took it on really, really short notice, missed weight, so it was a whole big deal. And at that point, Ricardo Lamas was the third-ranked guy in the division, and Josh Emmett was just that dude who lost to Desmond Green at lightweight. Like, he was just a guy. He had 4 fights in the UFC. He wasn't anybody impressive, and he took that fight against Ricardo Lamas. And he got the upset of the year because he slept him, and in one of those brutal knockouts, and that's whenever he arrived. He lost to Jeremy Stevens next time out in an awesome fight. Both guys went back and forth. Since then, he knocked out Michael Johnson, the only man to put Michael Johnson out. He put him out cold, and then he knocked out Mirsad Bektic, put him out last year. We set it up perfectly for you, Angel. I'm going to throw it to you now. Who do you got in the co-main event? Shane Burgos, Josh Emmett at the battle of the ranked featherweights.
You know, I have some mixed emotions about this, really, enough with Josh Emmett, more or less for the look. You beat Michael Johnson, yeah, slept Michael Johnson, right? No one really sleeps Michael Johnson, right? No one does it. It's never happened, right? It happened. But it's like Michael Johnson's that guy that, he's up and down. It's an impressive win, right? Because he's a good guy who can test you, right? But then the German Stevens loss makes me feel weird because German Stevens at this point hasn't looked the greatest, right? But the Ricardo Lamas wins there, and then and there's a couple good guys in there, right? No hate. On the other hand, against Shane Burgos, the only loss Calvin Kattar, and we just saw Calvin Kattar put a clinic, not too long ago, right? I find the Cub Swanson, win to be more impressive and all that, at least personally, because at one point Cub Swanson was the guy. We thought Cub Swanson was like next big thing, right? It didn't end up bleeding that way. Cub had a couple decent run, but then got a couple losses, right? It's whatever though. Once again we got another banger of a fight. We are blessed MMA. I think this is one of those that they could easily go back and forth. This probably will be what I imagine a very competitive fight. I might have just jinxed myself right there, but if it is, and it should be, because all the aspects of the striking are there. I'm back and forth. I've seen Josh Emmett. I believed in Josh Emmett. I've seen Shane Burgos. I believe in Shane Burgos. I saw that Cub Swanson fight a while back. I mean, it's a toss up for me right now. I'm having a difficulty time, but I'm gonna have to go with the younger guy and Shane Burgos.
Yeah, I'm also gonna pick Shane Burgos. I'm really high on this man. He's a young kid. He's looking better and better each time out, and that Makwan Amirkhani win was so impressive. And that Cub Swanson fight was dope, man. People forget that. That's an underrated banger right there. And to go toe-to-toe with Cub Swanson is a really big deal to me. Even though Cub's he's older now, he has some injuries. Still, though, that's a damn good win, man. If you could beat Cub Swanson, you're probably one of the top people in that division. So for him to beat Cub is a big deal to me. Josh Emmett, I'm taking Shane Burgos. I think he has the cleaner striking. I think he manages the distance really, really great. But I would not be surprised if Josh Emmett only needs to land once. He only needs to land once. That's the thing. And if he lands once, it could be all over. Like that's literally just the way it goes. And if he lands once, then the fight could potentially be over. He has a shot. I'm not saying that Burgos is the heavy favorite here. Not even close. I think this is one of the hardest fights that we've had to pick all year long. We talked about UFC 250 like 2 weeks ago, how many hard ones there were to pick there. I think the co-main and the main here are two of the hardest I've had to pick in a long time. But looking further in the card, what other stuff do you like on it? Because I think this card is one of the deepest ones we've seen all year, which is insane because it's still a COVID-era card.
I mean, I think the main card is like the rest of the main card has interesting guys. I mean, we got Bilal Muhammad on there, who I saw his UFC debut against Alan Jouban way back when, 2016. Put a good fight. He's one of those guys who probably go to distance, really like draw out the fight as much as he can. Entertaining guy. We got Raquel Pennington on there, absolute banger. Jim Miller, we all know about Jim Miller. And then in the prelims, we have our boy Clay Guida. Our Clay Guida's still around, killing it. And then the Happy Warrior, future champ, Roxanne Modafferi. I mean, and I guess our friend Camacho. I mean, we have a good card here. We're blessed.
As the kids say, we are blessed. Yeah, man, this card's got some bangers on it. You brought up all the names: Bilal Muhammad, Raquel Pennington, Marion Renault is a really good fight. Jim Miller, Roosevelt Roberts, that's a banger. Clay Guida, Bobby Green. That fight is one of my most look forward to. Those are two vets kind of past their best, but they're going to go out there and they're going to swing and bang, man. Clay Guida is kind of in that point for a while, though. He was one of the most entertaining guys. Then he became a bit more passive in his fighting approach, and now he's back to putting on bangers.
Dude, that man's a machine still. We saw the cardio.
Yeah, he still has it. Like the Jim Miller fight, he lost really quickly, but the BJ Penn one was fun. The Charles Oliveira one was fun. He knocked the hell out of Joe Lozon, which made me cry, but it was still a really good finish for him. And the Eric Koch fight was really good before that, and obviously the Brian Ortega fight. So he's been putting on bangers for a while now.
That's why we keep him around.
For sure. Other ones on the card: Roxanne Modafferi, Lauren Murphy. That's the winner. That has to be facing Cynthia Calvillo for the next title shot.
God, I hope so.
Because and listen, maybe even they just give it to Modafferi anyways, but I think more than likely it's just going to be Calvillo getting that shot against the winner of this one, because Lauren Murphy and Roxanne Modafferi are both kind of up and down, but they're both still in that top 7. I think Roxy is 5, and I believe Lauren Murphy is 7. And obviously Roxanne's coming off that badass win over Macy Barber. And Lauren Murphy is coming off of 2 back-to-back wins against Andrea KGB Lee, and Mario Romero Borriella. So Murphy's kind of on a hot streak. She lost to Sajara Eubanks before that, but before she's 3-1 in her last 4 fights. And then Roxanne, obviously 2-1 in her last 3, and beat Macy Barber and beat the shit out of Antonina Shevchenko. So there's a storyline there, man. I'm happy for that fight. I'm loving that fight. The fact that it's the second fight on the card is pretty strange to me.
Kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Dude, Roxanne hasn't been finished in 10 years, and Lauren Murphy's never been finished. Just a heads up. So this shit about to go to distance.
Oh, no, yeah, for sure. I mean, I would be shocked, but I don't know who I'm going to take in that one, man. That's a really close fight right there.
I know. That's a banger, though.
Champ.
Future champ, Happy Warrior, super seasoned women right there. That's crazy.
Yeah. The quick fight also I wanted to bring up: Tisha Torres, Brianna Van Buren. Most underlooked fight on the card, and I get it. I understand why people are overlooking it, but Brianna Van Buren, man, she had what I feel like years down the line, I'm gonna be telling people about this night that like I saw Brianna Van Buren fight for it would have been the second time actually, but it was the first ever Invicta tournament card, and she just beat the shit out of everyone. It's the closest thing I've ever seen to a star-making night. I've never really been in person for that type of thing, but she went through and she dominated everyone. I believe she finished all 3 of her opponents in the same night, 2 of which were former UFC fighters in Juliana Lima and Kaylin Curran. And then she won the strawweight title, and it was a star-making performance, man. And then she went to the UFC, and she beat Livia Ravenez Souza, dominated her. She's still only 25. She's fighting out of AKA, being trained by some of the greatest fighters on the planet, such as Daniel Cormier. She's got such a bright future. I think she wins this one. I think she breaks into the rankings. And I'm excited, man. I'm really excited for this girl, man. I told people like afterwards, I'm like, yo, she's gonna be a star one day. Like she's got all the tools. So I'm looking forward to her facing Tisha Torres. Tisha's lost 4 fights in a row, and that's crazy because I remember before this losing streak, like Andrew, you probably remember this. She was like right there for a title shot. Like she fought Andrade on like a UFC on Fox card, and the winner of that was gonna get a title shot. I remember she beat like Michelle Waterson at UFC 218, and like she won 3 fights in a row, beat Beck Rawlings, Juliana Lima, so she was right there. But after that, man, and
she took Willie to distance.
She did. She
got beaten up pretty badly.
She did. Let's be fair.
But she took Willie to distance. Still pretty impressive.
Yeah. So she was the first one to take her to the distance in the UFC too. So, yeah, man, like she's had a rough go of it. She's faced some really all the fighters she's lost to are all in the top 10. So it's not like she's just losing to scrubs, but I'd like to see Tisha Torres get back on track here, but I don't think she does. She's still 11th ranked in the division. She's not going to be cut anywhere. She's not going to be gone at any point, but I still could take Brianna Van Buren. I think she's so damn good. But yeah, man, that's all the predictions for this week's UFC card. Absolutely awesome card. We just spent a lot of time talking about it. That's how you know it's good, and it's a fight night, bro. We still have another fight night next week, which is arguably even better than this one. I'm not sure how the UFC the last few weeks, like after the Calvillo card, it's all bangers. Like this card is a banger. Next week is a banger. You got Dustin Poirier, Dan Hooker. Oh my God, and then Mickey Gall, Mike Perry, and then after that, it's Fight Island's debut. So it's we are in a fun time. But other stuff, some housekeeping notes. Earlier this week, Dana White said Anderson Silva's on his last 2 fights. Back in 2012, Anderson Silva signed a 10-fight deal, which I remember because I remember seeing that as like a headline. I'm like, holy shit, UFC fighters just never leave apparently. Like I wasn't even a fan at the time. Like I'd say I was a pretty casual fan. I knew who Brock was, and I watched Brock fight in the UFC, but it was never hardcore. I knew the name Anderson Silva. I'm like, Anderson Silva's like old as shit. There's no way he's finishing that deal. He's going to finish that deal, and apparently those are going to be Anderson's final 2 fights. Dana doesn't know who to put in there. So, Angel, I'm going to throw it to you. You are Sean Shelby. You are McMaynard. I like doing the matchmaking shit. I think this is really, really fun. It's like UFC 3. You're playing UFC 3 custom events mode, bro. All right. Go ahead and book Anderson Silva's final 2 fights. You know, Anthony Pettis has called him out. We know Chris Weidman's one in the trilogy. We know Conor McGregor wants to fight him. Book Anderson Silva's final 2 fights.
Look, the Pettis fight, I love. I think that'd be fun. It's hard. He's old now. He's on a, he got a win in there, but he's on a fat losing streak. I mean, he has the 1 win in there against Derek Brunson, which is a good win, But realistically, we know Anderson's not gonna compete, at this point in his life. I almost jokingly thought about saying give him the Chris Weidman fight, because it's not like Chris Weidman's been doing that good as lately either, But maybe give him a Pettis for Robbie Lawler. I think those could be fun guys. They're still ranked, but they're good competitively, and maybe it won't be the worst for Anderson. I think that could be interesting, at least for me.
Yeah.
Or maybe a Cowboy fight. I think Cowboy Silva had that.
Oh wow, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, Cowboy. I mean, Cowboy's on a fat losing streak too, dude. You know what I mean? But granted, Cowboy's been losing to the top of the division. I mean, Cowboy Silva headlining a card. You got 2 super seasoned guys. They'll put on a banger. They'll push each other. I think that could be extremely fun. I feel like Cowboy Cerrone could be a fun fight too. So I definitely push for either a Pettis or Cowboy fight, or a Robbie Lawler fight.
You threw a couple names out there that I'm glad you did, because I'm kind of on the same page here. I want to see him face either somebody like Robbie Lawler, because Robbie is very much one of the most shot fighters in the UFC. And it's not even that big of a deal, because he's in his late 40s. He's been fighting since, UFC 40 or something? Like, he's been around in the game for a long time. That fight with Nick Diaz is one of the earliest MMA fights I ever saw, like on YouTube back in 2011. Nick Diaz flattening him. But, he's been around the game, and he's fought at 185 before. Like, it wasn't like he was terrible fighting at 185. He fought for the Strikeforce title, and he found his most success at 170. But maybe Robbie just doesn't want to cut weight anymore. And a lot of these older guys, they don't really like cutting weight. Anderson fights at middleweight because he doesn't have to cut that much. He's gotten a lot slimmer over the years. He used to be a really, really good sized light heavyweight if he wanted to be. Like, he fought at light heavyweight a lot of times. He weighed 205, 206. The fight against DC showed his walk around weight, and he was 197. So Anderson's not a big middleweight. He could probably make welterweight. Like, Anderson started his career at welterweight, fun fact, in Pride and shit. So I wouldn't mind the Robbie Lawler fight or the Anthony Pettis fight. I think Anthony Pettis is very much aware that, if he this is the old vet going.
I got
against,
one more, by the way, if you're interested.
Oh, okay. Throw yours in there real quick.
Okay, so the Brazilian Brawl, Damian Maia, Silva 2.
No.
That'd be another one I like. That'd be another one I like. Just for the whole Brazil thing. You know what I mean? That's really the only reason why.
Yeah, but
they're both old. They could put out a second fight. That fight was forever ago. What happens now when they're X amount of years later? Could it be different?
Let me ask you a question. Did you ever watch their first fight?
I know it did not go well for Maia.
One of the worst fights I've ever seen.
Yeah, sure. That's also another thing I've heard. But that's what I'm saying. Maybe it's different now. Maybe
it might. I mean, K1 Maia is a real deal, bro. He won the first round against Colby Covington on the feet. Never forget that. Never forget that he bloodied up Colby Covington.
Josh, he beat Ben Askren.
He did beat Ben. I watched that fight the other day, bro.
You did?
I'm not even shitting you. It was just, I was sitting there, I was like, man, I'm gonna rewatch Ben Askren's UFC career. Took me all of 27 minutes, but
well, that didn't take very long.
Yeah, no, not at all. But I wouldn't mind seeing him face Robbie Lawler, or I think I'd go for Pettis. I think Pettis wants that. Silva said he'll do it. Anthony Pettis is just in it for fun fights, and he said he walks around at 190. So thick boy Pettis coming to middleweight is hilarious. I think that'd make him more
catchweight. Who cares?
Nah, screw that, man. Middleweight.
Catchweight. No Boxing does it all the time. Why can't we do catchweight, bro? Come on. It's Anderson Silva.
That's true.
They can't catchweight for Anderson Silva, really? The UFC's not gonna catchweight. The UFC's not gonna catchweight for the Spider.
There's no point because
well, one of the greatest of all time. Some people
Anthony
argue.
said he'd do it at middleweight.
I mean,
Like if Conor was gonna fight him, Conor would have to.
Okay, well,
Conor
I have something off topic here in a second. Once you're done with your statement.
Okay, and then I would do Anderson's final fight against Chris Weidman. Finish the trilogy.
Finish the trilogy. Oh my god, I jokingly wanted to bring that out, but no, another Izzy fight. No, just kidding.
You don't want to, dude. That first fight was awesome. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh no, it's good. It was just like a super technical. It would be like if two Mayweathers fought each other. You know what I mean? Not exactly, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like from a technical aspect, like if two really just technical boxers boxed, you know what I mean? That's
they're just incredibly similar.
It's incredibly similar. But what I was gonna say is, what weight class do you like Pettis more at? This is something I've gone back and do you like, or where do you like Pettis at? You know, I feel like Pettis has been, jumping between weights. Where do you like Pettis at most?
You know what, man? I think probably welterweight. I mean, I like it's not like he's undersized at welterweight, and I don't see the point in him cutting the weight anymore because at lightweight he's been doing worse at lightweight than welterweight. I mean, he knocked out Wonderboy, he beat Cowboy at welterweight. He's been having more success at welterweight than lightweight.
Imagine a Luque Pettis fight at welterweight, bro.
A what fight at welterweight?
A Luque and Pettis fight.
Oh, that's so vile. I'd take Pettis to win that, actually.
I didn't mean to make you hard on the podcast, Josh. I'm sorry.
I think I'd take him. I think I'd take Pettis in that one because I think he could Wonderboy him. Wonderboy like did to Luque.
Outpoint him?
Yeah, outpoint him.
Pettis gives good fights. I don't know if he'd probably do that, but
yeah,
that's a banger. Just want to put that out there. I just asked him because that's something I'm like, dude, where's Pettis? Like, I was like, I wonder where Josh thinks Pettis is best at weight wise. That was something like, Pettis fought here. Pettis has been going back. I don't know. That was a big issue with me. I'm like, I don't know about Pettis going back and forth between weights. I'm like, where's Pettis good at? So I wanted to ask you that.
You know, man, I think Pettis is in it for fun fights. I think he'll fight anybody at any weight, but I just don't see the point of cutting weight at this point in his career.
You think it's just too much for him now?
Yeah, I mean, he looks drained.
Yeah. Dude, man, that man was on the Wheaties box, my favorite cereal.
He was the Wheaties guy. He was huge.
He was huge.
Yeah, to kind of move on to another Brazilian who's also going into retirement, which maybe is going into retirement. We might be right. Amanda Nunes may be retiring. And what is your first reaction to that? Because we thought it might happen. And Dana said that he was like, oh my God, I'm going to kill her. She better not. Because, like, not only is UFC losing a lot of stars right now, she's she's the greatest women's fighter of all time. And she can make a lot of easy money just beating up on the Aspen Lads of the world. No offense to Aspen Lad. I love Aspen Lad, but...
Oh, boy. No, I know what you mean. Inside joke there, Josh. I love it.
Oh, yeah, I know.
What is there left for her to do, bro? I mean, she could just make the streak longer. That's all she can do at this point. I don't think there's really too much contention for her here right now. I absolutely get it. She's starting a family with her wife. I mean, she would get out on top, and that's the best for a lot of people. Getting out on top is hard. Cejudo just did it. He's happy with it. I mean, if she does it, I'm sure she'll be happy with it. She's in the books. It's over no matter what she does now. Greatest women's fighter of all time for a long time until some other woman comes along and is even able to reach what she did. I mean, what she did is beyond. I mean, and it's young. I mean, we saw history in front of our eyes. I mean, who knows how long it will be before we have another Amanda Nunes or another type Amanda Nunes. I mean, Amanda Nunes beat other greats from other divisions. I mean, it's just because she can't fight Wei Lee that she doesn't. If not, they would make her fight Wei Lee, to see if there's even a competition, against her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, she's performed every single time they put a challenge in front of her, and she has not been phased. As far as retirement, I mean, it's perfectly okay. I get it, and then it wouldn't be a bad thing for the UFC. You'd have a very competitive division. You'd have a new champion at that weight class. Maybe, and who knows, maybe the belt will get tossed around like it was back in the day. Whatever. you know. It'll make those girls more hungry. You'll have more competition. Maybe there's names there. It's just that Amanda Nunes exists right now. I forgot who it was. I was listening to a podcast. It's like if John Jones didn't exist, Gustafson might be the best of that weight class of all, like, ever. I think it's something I heard. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that or disagree with that, but if John Jones doesn't exist, in that weight class, maybe it's different for Gus. Maybe it's Gus on top, forever or for a long time. You know what I mean? It's just that right now, in that women's class, Amanda's there, and it's not a bad thing. I think that if they do embrace it, unless they want to do something crazy for her and get her like some crazy super fight with some other chick from a different organization. But right now, I mean, what is there for her to do? Just beat up on some girl who's up and coming and is doing pretty good, but doesn't have the build up to it, and then she's getting jumped to this person who's just a step ahead of everybody, who's just ahead of the curve and is gonna have to deal with that and just have that loss on her record. And I mean, it's nothing against them because it's not their fault they're being challenged. That's they're being blessed that they're being challenged. It's a good experience that they have the chance to fight someone that good, because it means there's levels of this shit. I need to be that good. I should be that good.
Yeah, and I think if she does retire, I mean, bantamweight will probably go back to what you said. It'd probably just hot potato the belt around for a while. I mean, that's what happened. I mean, during the span of 2016, like over the span of 12 months, not even 12 months, it was more like 10 months. Ronda was champ, then Holly was champ, then Misha was champ, then Nunes was champ. That's ridiculous. Dana White's already said that if she retires, they're probably going to close the 145-pound division, so I'm not really worried about that one. Like, Dana literally today was asked about it in his scrum before the weigh-ins, and you think you're going to keep the division around because they've kind of treated this division as just a money fight division. They brought in Cyborg, and Cyborg had some big fights against Home, and they brought in Nunes, and Nunes fought her, and then Nunes won the belt and defended it. And he would just ask straight up, "Are you going to keep the division around?" He goes, "No, probably not." So, which sucks because I like a lot of the girls in that division. I like Felicia, I like Megan, I like more 145-pound girls that are waiting to get signed. But that's it's fine. So if she retires, some people are like, why don't you just stick around making easy money? It's like it's hard to get out of bed to fight women that are so substantially worse than you. Like it's hard to do. It's hard to stay motivated with all that money just fighting people that you don't care about and there's no upside.
And it's not even just that. It's
she's done it all.
Yeah, and it's not even just that. You're not the one who's waking up at 5 in the morning to go run. You're not the one who's having to make weight, and eat and change your diet completely and be focused on that for months and months on end, knowing that you're not being necessarily challenged, and maybe she's and also trying to not be satisfied, not giving into it and giving up, being like, oh, I got this, whatever, not taking the challenge seriously, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because every time she goes in there, she's the biggest draw, she's the favorite, she has all the pressure on her, there's no one else there. She loses to that person who's hella below her, she looks really bad,
Yeah.
I mean, she's the one who has to deal with all of that. She's the greatest woman fighter of all time. She has that title every day that she has to deal with. That's a lot of pressure. And that'll be a pressure off her shoulders, which I'm sure will feel great. Or who knows? I'm sure she knows how to deal with it at this point in her life. She's an adult, and she's been in there, and it's whatever at this point probably to her. But you're not the one waking up and peeing blood or whatever. And then maybe in her case it's not even happening because she's not even taking that damage.
Yeah, she takes no damage.
But still, I mean, that's the state of her situation.
Yeah, and I don't feel like she gets a whole lot from it. I mean, she's literally done it all. Like, there's nothing more for her to do. Literally, I mean, she's done every single thing.
You can get bored from being great.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and I guess there's one thing she hasn't done. I think technically Ronda has more defenses. Ronda still has the women's record for defenses, but I think Nunes is one away from tying her. So
maybe she just break the record, but
yeah, she could just keep on going. But she's gonna be a mom soon. I don't know why she'd want to keep going, but that's just my thoughts. the next story that we're going to talk to you guys about, woo boy, BKFC. I've long gone on record on this podcast in written form on Twitter that I love BKFC. I straight up do. I think it's a fun place for a lot of fighters that are past their prime to go and just fight. I'm not expecting the greatest thing in the world. I'm not expecting just some straight up fight of the year shit. Although they have had some really awesome fights over the years. I've caught like every single one of their events. This next story is the one that's crazy to me. BKFC is returning in July in South Florida. I believe the date is July 24th with a crowd. There's no venue set, there's no fight set, but here's the the cherry on the sundae of this story, that apparently the fight that was in talks for this card was Mike Tyson versus Wanderlei Silva. Bare knuckle fighting.
Christ.
Mike was gonna earn it. This is all coming from Wanderlei and BKFC. Dave Feldman. They offered Mike $18 million to fight Wanderlei, and Wanderlei was gonna get $10 million. This is gonna be going on pay-per-view. Mike turned it down because he wants an actual boxing match.
Also, Mike could probably make more.
Probably, but $18 million is not something that Mike's just gonna completely reject. That's a lot of money, especially if he'd probably get pay-per-view points too.
Oh yeah, definitely, and that'd be a lot of pay-per-view points for Iron Mike
against Wanderlei. Here's the thing. I was so sad finding out this even was maybe gonna happen. Like I wish I didn't know, because now I'm disappointed.
I mean, Josh, did you know about the rumored Roy Jones Jr. fight and Mike Tyson bare knuckle boxing match?
Shut the fuck
up.
Shut up. That was I still think Roy. At that point in their career, I think Roy beats him 9 times out of 10. Excuse me.
I don't know, but we'll leave that for another day.
Well, I mean, 2004, Tyson lost to Danny Williams, so I don't. I don't know.
Yeah, but then also Iron Mike was in a different mindset at that time too. You know what I mean? Maybe against Roy, maybe things change a little bit.
That's true. But anyways, so
I mean, you can suck Roy's dick all day you want on the podcast, Josh. I mean,
he's the GOAT. You can't change my mind.
I mean, sure thing.
I think it is prime. He's the greatest boxer of all time. That's another story for another day. All right. But yeah, this is almost what happened. What's your first reaction to hearing all that?
This is my first time hearing any of this, so I'm absolutely heartbroken. I told you I've had a rough week. Like before we started the podcast, my week just got a little bit more rough.
Yeah, this is somehow the only way to kind of bring it down.
I know. People don't even know, Josh, and this made it just worse.
They don't know. Send Angel some love on Twitter, guys. You guys should be doing that anyway. Fuck all you guys. But
goddamn.
Fuck them kids. No, but yeah, I'm really disappointed. Like I would have loved to see this happen. I don't even care that it's a freak show. I don't care that Mike probably shouldn't be doing it.
That's what we like, though. That's what we like. We like so violence. I want insert my Terry meme
personified. It's ridiculous. But now it's not going to be happening. So if you guys wanted Mike versus Wanderlei, it's probably not going to happen. Mike came out and said like a long time ago, it seems like it wasn't that long ago. It was probably like 2 weeks ago at this point. We were going to get a fight announcement like next week, and that was like a month ago. Mike, what are you doing, bro?
I mean, COVID is happening. I mean, I also give the guy.
No, I know.
He's waiting for that Saudi
Jamie
money.
Foxx about making his movie.
It's that Saudi money, bro. They're talking about that Saudi money. That's what he's trying to get.
I don't blame him. I want that Saudi money. I'll fight Mike Tyson in Saudi Arabia.
Get knocked the fuck
out. He'll outweigh me by 50 pounds, but screw it. Like
I don't know, Josh. I think you can make heavyweight. It's not like you haven't before.
That's fair. That's fair. I was a thick heavyweight at one point in my life, man. I was some Daniel Cormier Popeye shit, bro. Like it was. That's the way it goes. But yeah, so that's also that card was announced. We don't know who else is going to be on it. Maybe Wanderlei will be on that July card. I mean, I feel like they're going to put a lot of their big names because they got to persuade people to get out and potentially get COVID at a venue.
You think they'll have Jason Knight on there and our boy, the GOAT?
I would like to see the Artem Jason Knight trilogy. Like, I'd like to see that happen. I'm straight up. I would.
Yeah, I mean, they know it's a banger. They can pay them.
It was a straight up banger both times. I mean, maybe not
Yeah.
the second one. The second one,
It's-
Jason Knight just beat the fuck out of him.
It's 1-1 right now. So I mean, who doesn't? Let's end it. If I was Jason, I'd be like, let's end this, bro.
Yeah. And then the winner gets a title shot.
I know,
Right?
right?
Yeah, right.
I know,
They're
right?
gonna fight
The BKFC belt.
Crazy Horse for the title. Screw it.
Crazy Horse. Jesus, that's another man.
Actually, his name is Felony now.
Felony Charles Bennett. Felony.
The other news, really quickly, that I don't think you'll have much to add, but I don't have much to add because I was disappointed seeing it. That Invicta FC 40 is going down July 2nd, likely from the Memorial Hall in Kansas City, Kansas. I was really excited because I've heard rumblings. I've been talking to some fighters. I know Invicta was coming back in July. I heard that Alicia Zapatella was going to be on it. Very, very good fighter. I was excited for her return. Emily Ducote's fighting on it, and I knew he was coming back in July, and I was really excited because a lot of these cards, even though they're not having fans, they're having media, and I was so excited to go because I'm like, yo, this is a once in a lifetime experience to see an empty venue, and see this card.
I mean, Josh, it's not like there's a lot of people there, but hey.
Yeah, but still, we're talking the difference of hundreds of people versus zero.
True. You know what I mean.
That's a pretty big. Some of those early prelims on some of those cards, though, I know exactly what you're talking about, but like having that go for an entire card would definitely be like quite the experience. Getting the COVID test and everything, I was hyped for it, but no fans, no media, so I can't go, you can't go. Pretty disappointing, but I understand why it's going down. We'll still talk about it whenever the time rolls around, probably, but yeah. Probably the biggest news, though, that right after we filmed last week, all the stuff started coming out. So we're like super behind the news, and I think this might have already been resolved because I've seen some players go back on this. The NBA season may not be resumed, and that is due to a lot of players wanting to not play as a sign of protest and solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement and a lot of the current protests against systematic racism and police brutality within this country. Kyrie Irving was the one who approached it, was the one who kind of started it, which I thought was strange because Kyrie's part of the player union that voted to restart the season a week ago before this. But, KD was somebody who was involved. Who else? Donovan Mitchell, Dwight Howard. Other players all said they would not play. LeBron and Austin Rivers and Patrick Beverley were a couple players I saw that came out for the season starting. This is a touchy subject.
Kyle Korver, who didn't directly say it, but said he would support his teammates.
Yes. He was another one. So this is a touchy subject to talk about, but what is your thoughts on this?
Look, let me say this now. As someone of color, I completely understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I completely. I know, Josh. You're a brother, bro. Yeah. I completely understand. I'm from the waist down, Josh. I know, but I completely understand where these guys are coming from. It's no, most of the NBA, probably 95% of it's black. Black players. These guys, a lot of these guys maybe didn't come from the best neighborhood, maybe even experienced something like this, lost a friend, whatever. They know what this is about. You know what I mean? They got to the NBA to change their lives. Now they can walk outside, go on a walk, drive their car at night, and they're safe. There's no fear of them being pulled over late at night and why you out late, this and that or whatever, right? If they want to do that, I completely understand that. Stand for what you believe. I get for the players who want to work. I mean, those guys who are on 10-day contracts, guys coming from the G League, who are just trying to support their families, stuff like that. I understand that perspective too, because there's guys who get called up late into the season to play and make the little bit of money they can to live off. They play in the G League. They're grinding out. They make a decent bit, but not enough to sustain themselves. You know what I mean? So I get those perspectives too. But I think that's something maybe people forgot about. But it stinks because I would have loved to see the NBA. I really miss that entertainment. Something, all those guys, they're, I get it. They if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. No one should question it, and no one should push them another way because I get it, I get it, and it's very brave of them to come out and do that, especially since they're such big figures. They influence a lot, and they're using their voice. I think that matters to a lot of people, and not everybody with that kind of power is a voice or wants to be a voice. So I completely understand that, because sometimes you don't want to be that symbol. Sometimes you don't need to be that symbol of hope or whatever you want to call it. And these guys who, like I said, maybe didn't come from the best neighborhood, didn't, lived in the projects before that. Basketball was their one way to get out of that kind of trouble or stay out of trouble or maybe not even be in a position to be out late and, someone misinterprets that or whatever, or maybe they've had to deal with a pat down or whatever it may be, it's completely understandable, because I'm sure maybe they've personally had something like that, and a lot of the guys in the NBA are giving a lot of respect to other people out there who are going out, even retired players. I forgot who it was who was out there. A lot of the players have actually gone out, and Steph was out there. There's quite a bit of guys who went out. Just quite a bit of players. I can't name all of them, but there was a lot, and shout out to them for being out there and being part of the community, because it shows that there's some things that are bigger than the sport to these guys. They're just not, they don't just shut up and dribble.
And as a person, they're allowed to have those opinions. And I feel like people say, they can't. Why are they talking about this? They shouldn't be talking about this. Just shut up and dribble. And the whole stupid Fox News talking points. You know what I mean? They're a human being. They're allowed to have their own stance, and they're allowed to have their own values. I'm not going to tell anybody that they're not allowed to stand for what they believe. I think that's really, really stupid, and I have no problem with a lot of these protests that are going on because of what they believe. And I'm somebody who's long believed. Angel, you've known me personally for what, the better part of a decade now.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, and my opinion on the police. I've always been somebody who's kind of, the cops get away with a lot of stuff, and it's always bugged me personally. And it's just, they feel it. I don't feel like they do. The vast majority. Here's my issue. It's not even a lot of people that are protesting. It's systematic. It's not more than just a few bad apples, and the few bad apples that there are propped up by the entire police system. You know what happens to those few bad apples anytime they do anything wrong? Nothing. Nothing happens to them. It's only now, until people are starting to protest and speak their voice. If those people in Minneapolis, if they did not protest, you think anything would happen to those cops? They'd be currently sitting at home on leave, paid leave. That's what happens all the time. Cops kill people. Thousands of people have been murdered by the police. And here's another uncomfortable fact that's going to get a lot of people upset. That probably, my opinion. I don't care if you're guilty or not. You should not be shot dead. There's a thing called due process in this country that I feel like so many people forget about. And I feel like some people are like, that dude, who was the guy that got murdered this weekend over in, St. Louis, I think? The Wendy's guy?
I know what you're referring to.
Yeah, he was running away, and he got, what's the Dave Chappelle thing? He got 4 warning shots in the back.
Yeah.
He died for trying to run away. That happens all the time. And those 2 guys got arrested. And now they're going to be tried. And I feel like if it wasn't for what these people are saying and the protests going on, that would not be the case as normal. As normal, they would just be, they'd be sent home for PTSD, and they'd have administrative leave, and maybe they'd be fired, but they go to another place, or they go to another county, and they'd be hired all the same. That's the uncomfortable reality. And I'm glad that some of these players are speaking up. My personal opinion, which I know a lot of people, you're white, you can't, that's just, some people feel like this is not like, if you're not black, you don't understand what they're talking about, but I completely understand what they're talking about, because I've long had my opinions of the police, and anybody who knows me, I've had this opinion of the police. I'm not going to tell the players to protest in any way. I'm not going to tell them what they should believe or should not believe. My personal opinion is I feel like that we can play the game and speak our minds as well. Because some people are going to say, I've seen the arguments for and against as well. 4, obviously, they have the place to protest. They can control the narrative. They can speak. They're gonna have microphones in their face every single day for the next few months where they can talk about it. Protests can die if the news cycle just keeps on continuing and going and people forget. If players are talking about it every single day and it's on SportsCenter every single day, that protest is never gonna die. Like, that's if they are as committed, that is something that can keep on going. Also, a reason for, and this is potential fallout from this not happening, is the season would happen next year as well. Here's another part that kind of sucks. If players decide to sit out, there's going to be no 2020. We're not going to get a conclusion of this season, which is, obviously that would be their intention. We wouldn't get next season either. Completely stopping. Here's the thing about CBA or discussions. Whenever that happens, we have lockouts happen and negotiations happen between player unions and leagues. They at least have the previous CBA to work off of. If this happens, they're ripping that CBA up. And the players and the leagues are not always on the same terms. And if they should rip the CBA up, which they're more than legally likely to do, because they'd be losing a shitload of money, then they're going to be on even worse terms. I mean, probably no 2021 season either. So that's just my thoughts. I think the season should probably go ahead. If they can protest and they can control the narrative and they can talk about it. They can keep the attention on it. Because here's the part that sucks. If this is happening during the middle of the summer, it'd be completely different because the NHL season would be over. Soccer would still probably, Angel, you know better than me about soccer. What time of the year does soccer run?
It's like a year-round thing because it's different countries, different leagues, cups, international. It's an all-year thing. You'll have it all the time.
Okay, well then soccer would still be running.
Yeah, it's around probably 2 months ago. A couple of the leagues would have concluded, and you'd be getting into international cups and stuff like that. Like right now, it'd be kind of slow. There wouldn't be much going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
But baseball will be running. Here's the thing about baseball is nobody cares until the postseason because it's 162 fucking games. So,
which is rough.
It's so rough. And then if they let's say this all has happened and they stop before the playoffs started and all that, and the NBA schedule was normal, they'd have a lot more support for the protest because them sitting out would have such a ginormous impact because there would be nothing else to watch. You can't just turn to an NBA game and turn your mind off and have that protest go away. But the reality of it is that the protests are already starting to die down, and the players sitting out would do negative. It would do nothing, because the NFL season would be starting up right after the NBA season is supposed to start up. So guess what happened? They'd watch football. That's literally just what happened. If they didn't NBA's off, all right, football here it is. It's only 2 weeks later. I've waited for 4 months for sports. So that's the uncomfortable reality. That's exactly what would happen. So, I feel like they've been doing negative. But, Angel, here's the most important part. The WNBA season is going forward in July. We have it. We're locked in, boys. Let's go Storm.
Oh, boy. You fucking troll.
Oh, man. Yeah, I had to close it out with that, man.
God.
Yeah.
Good for the WNBA though. All jokes aside.
Yeah, good for them. They. God, I have no idea how they're still going to be going on because they're going to lose so much money, man.
They already lose a lot of money, and it's no hate to the WNBA. Much respect to those women who are great athletes, just don't have the crowd or interest.
Yeah. I don't even know how they're still around with how much money, because they lose hundreds of millions of dollars normally. But whatever. I'm glad they're still around. I'm glad they're around.
Yeah, no, it's good.
But Andrew, do you have anything else before we bounce out of here?
I mean, nothing that off the top of my head right now. Just stay safe, keep the streets clean, smile more.
And with that, we believe you guys. Thank you guys for listening as always. I'm at Josh Sevenoff. He's at Angel_01 on Twitter, at Courtside Sound1. We're available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us. Thank you guys for listening as always, and we're out. Peace and butt grease. Mouse click.